to Robot Attack. My name is Smokinace007. Today, so we're gonna do a new thing. All right, so something that I ran out of guests, and I ran out of people that I had contracts with to try to figure out how to interview people. So now from now on, we're gonna stick with one person. Smokinace here, 007. How are you, my friend?
Not too bad, just sitting here at the bottom of the barrel, just waiting to be picked back up. But no,
Yeah.
hello, Scatter. How are you doing today?
Yeah. Oh, jeez. Good. No. Yeah. I ran out of people, and Smokinace. I just picked Smokinace again that we're doing a podcast with. But
Hey, I'm happy to fill that void.
yeah, exactly. Wow. All right. So, oof, a lot of harsh words already. All right. So this is kind of a new segue of, like I said, I just ran out of people, and the last podcast was with one of the last podcasts was with Smokinace. So jokes on him that when I did a podcast with him, I had him signed a contract that saying that he's not willing to sue me or. And then he didn't read the fine print that, from then on, he's going to start doing podcasts with me for a bit. So, jokes on you. So,
Man, I should have read that. That was my own fault. I'm a grown adult. I should have figured it out.
yeah, so this is kind of more centralized to kind of what games me and Smokinace have played this month, and kind of like go into deep detail about, no kidding. The cat's trying to involve my podcast here, but talk about the games, what games we played this month, and the interesting aspects of them. So I figured this is a new way that we could talk about stuff, and like I said, Smokinace is stuck with me. So and real quick, Smokinace, in like 5 words or less, right? What can you tell about yourself?
Extra life Twitch streamer.
All right. That's 4, but, I'll take it.
Fine. Here. 5 words or less.
Yeah.
Ohio Extra Life Twitch streamer. There you go. 5 words.
Go.
Nailed it.
Yeah. So, I met Smokinace here at through Extra Life. If you don't know what Extra Life is, it's a charity fundraising, raising money for sick and injured kids, and great charity. Check it out. Me and Smokinace's both channels through that. Basically, tell more about yourself. Is there like what else that you haven't told me in the past that you're willing to get off your chest? That
man, that I haven't told you that I'm willing to get off my chest. I'm not a real person.
Oh, well, dang it!
Yeah,
I knew it. The conspiracy was real.
You've been talking to a soundboard this whole time. I'm just a soundboard for Extra Life, and it just gave you somebody else to bounce your ideas off of. No, there's really not much that I haven't said before. I feel like I'm pretty simple. I just like to play games, hang out, raise money, just kind of all the basic stuff that you can sort of kind of gather from just what we've talked about before and things that we've done.
There's a whole podcast that I did with Smokinace, more about that, so check it out.
That's true.
But no, it's fantastic, and honestly, like I said, if it wasn't for Extra Life, I wouldn't have found this friendship, and now Smokinace has stuck with me forever. Again, I don't know who's paying him or whatever. I keep giving him Extra Life donations, and then he's like, all right, I guess, it's worth it.
I'll keep him around if he keeps funneling money into the charity.
Yeah, exactly. So, anyways, so we'll get started. So when we talk about the games that we played this month, I'm referring to the month before. This is January, but so whatever games we played in December. So, what games have you played in December?
I played quite a few, but the kind of biggest hitters, the ones that that I put the most time into were The Outer Worlds, Death Stranding, and Pokemon Sword.
Okay. So, what out of all three of those, what do you think is like the best in terms of?
Ooh, that's tough. They're all
Got him.
they're all very different games,
Got him, coach.
but probably the one that I anticipated the longest and that I had the most build up to would probably be Death Stranding.
Mm-hmm.
But a close second would be The Outer Worlds because that one I didn't really know too much about, and then when I finally got into it, and I'm not even that far into it in the grand scheme, but it's surprised me in so many ways. It's very familiar, but it's also very different.
Yeah. And I feel like both of them. I feel like they're kind of in terms of are they kind of related in terms of like you're in outer space, like on this planet kind of thing? Because
yeah.
I don't know. I don't know too much about Death Stranding. All I know is basically like it's like okay, if you like picking up items in Red Dead Redemption, like each individual can of stuff, then you love Death Stranding. Is that kind of accurate?
Yeah, it's definitely very different from any game I've played before, and the actually I go back sort of on what I said, where you said everything's in outer space.
Mm-hmm.
Technically, you're in outer space only because you are in Death Stranding. You are on planet Earth. It's kind of about reconnecting the Earth, but the Earth is in outer space, so they are related. But yeah, the Outer Worlds is definitely more kind of traveling planet to planet, whereas Death Stranding is more set within the United States. I don't know if it's kind of all of North America because I haven't beaten the game yet,
Mm-hmm.
but it's definitely the United States. But yeah, it's just one of the things that I like about it so much is it's so different than just about any other game I've played. So that kind of lends into me wanting to play it more. And I love the storytelling of Hideo Kojima. So that just, you combine kind of a new innovative way of gaming and the storytelling from him, and I mean, I'm sold.
Yeah. So, like, what about Outer Worlds? Is that some? So I know it's from the makers of another game I haven't played. I should. I think I should play Death Stranding for sure, but Outer Worlds I'm kind of I don't know on the fence about. So like I know
That's
it's
fair.
I know it's the same makers as Fallout Las Vegas. Is it?
New Vegas, yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
It's along the same lines. Anybody that's played any of the newer Fallout games, um, i.e., Fallout 3, Fallout 4, um, Fallout New Vegas, it's very much along those same lines, but it does set itself apart, and it's the dialogue in that game has kept me just hooked. The writers and the writing, just about any time that you talk to any of the characters, and even some of the just kind of off the cuff characters, like there's this one vendor that I spent probably 5 minutes alone before I even got into his buying menu because the conversation was just too good to pass up. I just had to keep going, and I couldn't stop talking to him. So it definitely draws you in with that familiar feeling of gameplay. Like I said, if you've played any of the Fallout, the first person Fallout games, and even some other RPGs and some other just kind of big open worlds, it'll feel very familiar. I think it's just the characters and the lives that they have put into those characters and the personalities is what's really hooked me and kept me just wanting to play more and keep going and get to more story and get to more talking points, really. I mean, a game that can stop all of the action and make you want to talk to a character and kind of learn more about them, that's something for me that's very enticing because, yeah, there's a lot of games I want to play where, Call of Duty multiplayer doesn't have a story usually. You're just running around completing objectives or whatever. But, you take kind of that action and that element of it, and then you want to, stop everything and just start and talk to someone. That's a pretty powerful and impressive goal that you can have, or situation that you can create when, like I said, you bring everything almost to a stop because you want to keep talking to that character.
Yeah. I'm trying to figure out the game. I said it in your chat, and that it's very artsy to the other game. I can't think of it. It has the same art style.
A little more. As Outer Worlds?
Yeah,
I like puzzle solving.
Yeah. My brain
said it in my chat.
Having a...
Outer Worlds.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I'm trying to think.
It's recent, too.
Shoot. Yeah, I very much remember you saying it. Now I want to go back to my stream and run through it to see if I can find it.
It's on the tip of my tongue, too. Anyways, I'm sure it comes, but, I love the art style, how it's very similar to the game I can't think about. And
it's going to kill me that I cannot remember that.
Because I'm Googling it, as you were talking about it, too.
I will find it. I will remember.
Mm-hmm. Man.
It was while I was playing Outer Worlds, right?
Yeah. But yeah. And I think it's very similar to it in a way of, and they just released the second one too.
Released the second one. Oh man.
So I'm also looking anyways.
Sequels to games.
It's very. So do I need to play Fallout or anything to play Outer Worlds? Is it any similarity?
Really only similarity in gameplay. Really, if you've played a first-person game that has some inventory management, and it's not even really that in-depth of inventory management, because you can... It's really just, do I like this gun better than this gun because I want to have fire damage, or I want to have, I want to have shock damage, and all those things will play in, and all of those will have different sorts of impact on different enemies. An enemy might be weak to shock, or an enemy might be weak to fire or something, so you've got to look at that. But as far as having to play something else, no, not really. It's a game that you can jump right into, and once you get the controls down, which are pretty straightforward, I would be surprised if you had really any issues with it. Because it's its own separate thing.
Borderlands 3.
Oh, yeah, okay,
Jesus
yeah, Borderlands. Yes. Almost startled me a little bit.
Sorry.
But I'm glad you found it. Yes, yeah, okay, I got you. That makes... Yes. Which I did play a good amount of that, too. And I finished it up right at the beginning of December or late in November, so I wasn't sure if I was going to bring it into after this talk. I did play a little bit more of it because they released the DLC, but thank you for your graciousness. I appreciate it.
But I felt like isn't like also Borderlands 3 like people weren't really happy about it. I heard. Is that true?
Yes, and
in your opinion,
in my opinion, I really liked it. Okay. I loved it. I think one of the biggest reasons that a lot of people didn't like it is because it was more of the same. And what I mean by that is it didn't really do anything super innovative, super new, super, just out there. They didn't, take the game that they had and flip it on its head or flip it on its side. An example that I can think of, and I've only played the second one of this, but I've talked with a couple friends, and if you've heard of the Risk of Rain games, the first one I think was like a side-scrolling kind of platformer, whereas the second one is a over-the-shoulder, third-person kind of action-adventure game. So they took kind of, I believe, the same concept. Like I said, I haven't played the first one, but they kind of flipped it on its head. So they'd be like, the sort of example that I can think of would be taking, Borderlands, a first-person shooter, and then making Borderlands 2, and now they've made it a, top-down puzzle game or a dungeon crawler or something. So they didn't do anything that extreme. And the core game for Borderlands 3 is definitely very much similar to Borderlands 2 to Borderlands 1. So I think a lot of people maybe wanted something a little more out there. But I personally really like the game. I mean, it's one of the few games I'm very bad at starting a game and then something else that I really want to play comes along and I move on to the next game without beating it, and I move on to the next game without beating it, and I build up this whole big backlog. But Borderlands 3 is one of the few games that I played start to finish in a relatively short time, because I think that came out, I want to say it came out end of September, mid-September, something like that. And I ended up beating it within just a few months, which, like I said, for me, that's, especially with a game that's kind of a little bit higher up,
September 13th, you're right. That's pretty good.
Okay, yeah. So, it with a game that has that much substance to it, and I didn't do all of the side quests. I didn't do, there's so much more in that game, and that's one of the reasons that I have a hard time finishing it. It's like going back to Skyrim or even Fallout, where there's so much you can do to get lost in that world that, if you stray from that storyline, you can make that game, you can play Borderlands for 100 hours and be nowhere near the end of it. You can play some of those bigger games, where then, there's other games where you can put, only 4 hours into it, you've done everything. It can still be a great game, but if you want that, you can put so much, like I had to fight myself going to side quests in Borderlands 3, and because I just wanted to get the story done so I can move on to another game. But yeah, I know I'm getting lost in a Borderlands tangent here.
No, that's fine.
But but yeah, that was one, like you said, in my opinion, really great game. If you've played other Borderlands, I highly recommend it. They throw a lot in there that if you've played the games in the past, you'll appreciate the little things. But it's still a game that you can pick up and you can play, right from number 3 and still have a good time, I think. Yeah, you're not going to get all the in-jokes, you're not going to get all the little references and stuff, but, you still can have a really good time with that, even if you don't know anything about the Borderlands world or the Borderlands story.
Yeah, that's what I was just mentioning earlier stream today, that I was playing Resident Evil 4, and I never played any of the Resident Evils, and and like you could jump into that game and play it, and same thing with BioShock Infinite. I haven't played BioShock 1 or 2, and I played Infinite, and I loved. It's not my number one game. Resident Evil 4 is my number 2 favorite game. So like,
wow, that's a big step.
I know
that's taken a big spot on the list really quick.
I know. Well, to be fair, Resident Evil 4 was number 1 for a long time.
Fair enough.
I think I just Googled it on stream too. I think it was released in 2005.
It was quite a while. Because that was originally on the GameCube, I think.
Oh yeah.
GameCube and PS2.
No, yeah, just GameCube. I think they're releasing it on the Switch this year too.
That's right.
Yeah. So a good at least and then BioShock Infinite came out in 2013. I know that off the top of my head because 2013 was a great year for games because Stanley Parable also got released that year now, and that's also my number 3. So
you hate that game?
No, I don't.
You despise the Stanley Parable.
I don't know why. I had no other games to pick, and I picked Stanley Parable's number 3.
I just throw it up there.
Yeah,
just to take a name out of a hat.
So at least a good 12 10 years of Resident Evil 4 being number 2 on my list, and then BioShock Infinite. I'm like, wow, it just for some reason just so submerged me in that game, and I don't think there was a game besides Resident Evil 4 that just gets so sucked into it, and I'm like, I'm Leon or I'm Booker, and I'm saving this girl, So the games I played this month, I kind of mentioned this to you before, was just trying to go back to basics, really, of...
Yes.
Like, lately I've been just playing around with Sniper Elite 4, and just, like...
Nice.
And playing around, like, just to see how far I go without dying. I'm also, like, playing, like, the little side missions where it's, like, you have to, kill 50 people with SMG gun, and it's harder than it because it's a sniper elite. It's supposed to be a sniper sneak around game. And then I got Planet Zoo. I kind of mentioned that, and then I got sucked into that, but I'm trying to stay away from that. As I kind of mentioned to you, that it's a little bit broken of a game, but I mean, I have it, and it's in the back. You gotta have a
broken game in your life every once in a while.
Yeah, it's in the background there. I'm just like looking at the games I played, and just going back to the games I haven't played in a while. I think that's my thing is just, and I would really like to play, some Divinity Original Sin again. And just go back to it. I keep saying that to you too. They're all great. That's basically my life right now. The RimWorld I've been playing back again. But the most surprising thing that blew me away was, I think this is a little bit in November too, but was Prison Architect. It's just I played it recently, and I just was blown away with the updates that they had with it. I don't know what it was, but
it's always fun when there's a game that you really enjoy, and then for whatever reason you get pulled away from it, whether it's you just got bored of it, or another game came along, or something like that, but then you go back to it, and even if they haven't done any updates, you just remember that sort of, in a sense, magic you felt about it and what drew you into it. But it's even better when you can come back and there's more game to play. There's a stronger game to play. There's more items at your disposal or something. That's always more exciting.
Yeah, I just like right when I started it, I texted my friend who also like told me to get the game, and I was like, you need to go back to Prison Architect because my God, they did so much, and why haven't I been like? That's what I love about like indie games. Like I was telling this on stream too that what's the last time a AAA game that updated their game? Like, when's the last time a AAA game updated their game? Like, I can't even name any. You could just think about like, uh, the Elder Worlds that we were talking about. Like, do you think they're ever gonna like update it to hey, we added this new map that you could download for free? No, they're gonna DLC the crap out of that.
Yep.
But
they're gonna give you more story behind a paywall.
Yes, but whereas Prison Architect or Don't Starve Together, both of which they just give free updates. Yes, they had a DLC with Prison Architect, but some of those free updates and it just changed so much and just so fantastic. That's what I love about indie games, like Don't Starve especially, and Prison Architect, and I don't know what it just they just do so much in that game to update it to make changes in it that you're wanting to play it again, and then you keep supporting them.
Yeah, and with that, if they can draw you back in with that good free update and get you back playing their game, that might put it into your mind a little bit more. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to buy that DLC. I'm going to buy that extra, skin or that item or something like that, because you know what? I want to keep supporting them so that they keep doing these updates and things like that. The bigger companies, and in the grand scheme of things, there's pros and cons to everything. But with some of the bigger companies, they can give you a game and they know you're going to buy it, and they know you'll buy their DLC because they're big enough. Oh, yeah. But some of those smaller developers, they've got to not only bring you in the beginning, which can be harder if they don't have a name for themselves, but they've got to keep you around. And you said, they do offer DLC to it, but they also give you a lot of other incentives that hopefully you'll go, you know what, that DLC is worth it, as opposed to, I want to keep playing this game. The only way I can get more out of this game is I have to buy this DLC, versus I can buy this DLC and enhance my gameplay or move on to something else and play it in a slightly different way.
Yeah, and that's why, like, for the developers of Don't Starve, Clay,
great company.
I keep saying this and I keep tweeting it out, and you guys probably get annoyed by it, but they could legit do no wrong, because they just have all these freaking great games. Like, all of them are fantastic. Crypt of the Necrodancer, I don't know, the Invisible Ink, I don't know these other ones, but Oxygen Not Included, which is also another game that's always been updated, and it just never ends. I just keep seeing videos upon videos of like new updates on, Oxygen Not Included and Don't Starve, and just like, man, these guys just don't take a break, and it's just like, that's what I love about. And then if you're just saying that if it wasn't for those Clay producing that game and making it so successful, I wouldn't have I wouldn't have been probably as interested in Oxygen Not Included if I knew that the game company, like, I bought Don't Starve before it was technically released. I bought Prison Architect before it was released. I knew that if I was like, man, that's what I keep telling people. If you could throw money at this game right now, within beta or alpha, it's going to be fantastic. When it's released. Anyways, we got a lot of sidetracked there. I apologize.
It's bound to happen. Hey, get us talking about games. We're going to talk about the games we're passionate about.
Yeah, just just those are fantastic. Anyways, so out of those games you mentioned, what of those, did you? I know you did play Death Stranding, or not Death Stranding, Outer Worlds more than once. But like, do you see yourself like sucking another like? Are we going to be talking about Death Stranding and next month, or do you think Do you think that it sucked you in enough to? No, let's go ahead. It's fine. You know what I'm asking.
Definitely. One of the biggest reasons that I didn't get around to more Death Stranding is, just the normal holiday busyness and things like that. But that's one of those games that I don't really want to stream because I want to be completely immersed in that world. And when I'm streaming, I have a hard time not stopping for a second, with chat or with something like that, or talking about Extra Life, and maybe necessarily playing the game. I get sidetracked easily, if you couldn't tell from our conversation right now. But that's one of those games that I want to sit down and I just want to experience it myself. I want to share that experience with other people, which I'm more than happy to do. Obviously, in this podcast, or maybe while I'm playing another game on stream, if somebody asks about it or something like that. But that's one of those games, since it is so enticing to learn more about the world that Kojima has built. I want to be really present for that game. So this month I want to play more of it, and I have gotten to play a little bit more of it, in the early parts of this month. But I do want to buckle down and kind of knock it out and get further. So it definitely keeps drawing me back in, and it's drawn me in to the point where, like I said, I just want to be focused on that. I just want it to be me, my PlayStation and my TV. I don't want to throw any other distractions into it because I want to be fully immersed in that world. So yeah, it is absolutely drawn me back in to want to play it a second, third, fourth, fifth time, and just keep going back and pushing more through that story and through that world and seeing everything that was put into it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm also nervous about if I play, Pillars of Eternity or Divinity Original Sin. Mm-hmm. Like, I just feel like if I stream something like that, but I feel like, if I get stuck, people will be like, oh, go this way, because I feel like those are the type of games that I actually haven't played. Also, I'm just brain farting all day today. I haven't really played through Witcher 3, which I know I need to play, and what's that one? And the Elder Scrolls Skyrim. I haven't played it.
Ooh. You haven't played Skyrim?
No, I've
Have
only...
you told me this before and I just blocked it from my memory?
I played 4 hours of it, Skyrim. Every time I played it, by the way, I had... I basically, like, my stream broke, so... so, like, I stepped away from that game, and then The Witcher, like, it says playtime 2 hours.
Gotcha.
So yeah, those two, I feel like I need to not stream those, and just like, maybe I will, because like I said, with those games and Pillars of Eternity and other stuff that I mentioned, like those role-playing games, I feel like I just need a day long of like, I'm not doing anything, so I'm going to stream like all day of The Witcher, or just like a couple hours, and then, like 4 to 5 hours or whatever, and just play it. And I just don't have the time.
You mean a couple as in 24 hours? 24 hours of Skyrim, bam, there you go.
I mean, there is a donation incentive this year for Extra Life, so just saying.
All right, everyone donate to Scouters. Let's get him to that incentive goal.
This
24 hours of either Skyrim or The Witcher.
Or probably all
either
three.
fine.
If we're playing 24 hours. No. I just get sidetracked. I just like I want a game. No, I just want a game that tells me you need to go here, and if I don't like figure out how to get there, I'm just like I'm quitting. And that's what I'm nervous about. Like, I feel like Skyrim is a little bit more go this way kind of thing. Like, I get it; it's meant for sidetrack. But like, I played Pillars of Eternity, and I couldn't figure out where to go, and I just like quit out of that game. I was like, all right, I'll come back to this. I don't know.
I can't speak for the Witcher yet. We do have it, we do own it, but I haven't sat down and played it yet.
Oh, you're talking crap to me, but you haven't played it. All right, then. Yeah.
I'm talking crap to you about Skyrim, because that game's been out for about 6 decades, and shame on you for not playing it. But I can't speak for Witcher or Pillars of Light, but with Skyrim, that's one of the problems that I have as well. Because even when I do try to do the main, I'm like, okay, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to play only the story. I'm going to go just main story quest, and you get to the town that has your main story quest, and then you talk to 2 people, and they have a side quest for you, and it's like, you know what, I'll just do this side quest really quick. And then 6 hours later, I haven't even touched the main story quest, but I've completed so many other things, and I've gotten so many more items, and I've gotten all this stuff, and I go, well, I'll just do one more side quest, then I'll be back to, oh shoot, I've got to go to bed because I've got to work in a few hours.
Yeah, that's one of the things I've never done in a while, is that I just got sucked in the game so much that I lost track of time. It's been too long that I haven't done that.
Skyrim is a time machine. Yeah. That's one of the few games that I can sit down and go, all right, I'm gonna play for an hour,
and then into 5.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's so quick too. You look down for a second, and bam, it's you started at 1 o'clock, and now it's 9 o'clock at night. And you go, oh shoot, have I breathed in the last few hours?
Did I eat dinner?
What in the world happened here? What's going on? Yeah, exactly. You go, oh shoot, I'm kind of hungry. Maybe I should, it's probably getting close to dinner time. Oh crap, I'm 20 minutes late for work.
Well, hopefully not that.
Well, yeah, no. If you do that, please seek help. Please, no. But that's just one of those worlds that you can get so, enthralled in, and you can get so drawn into, and it definitely, if you like that kind of game, it's something that's great about it. If you sit down and you play Mega Man X, yeah, there's the Dr. Light capsules to find, but you've got some bosses to beat, some levels to clear, and another boss to beat. It's pretty, like you said, it's pretty straightforward. You kind of know where to go next. You get the game sort of sat in front of you in small chunks, but you have fun with all of those. But there's a definite end game. There's not 18 different paths you can go in each level. And oh man, I found this side quest here. Oh, go back and kill this other mini boss over here. Nope, it's all in a line. And I love those kind of games. But I also love the games where, yeah, you can just get lost down that rabbit hole so easily.
Oh, man. I just, what this conversation thought of that you would probably not enjoy is Kingdom Come Deliverance.
I own it, and I do enjoy it.
Oh, wow.
But I hate it for the same reasons as Skyrim and all of that, because it is easy to get sidetracked.
Well, like, I only did, as you saw on my YouTube, maybe, I just recorded a little bit of it, but I heard as well that, like, you go to this guy and he's like, oh yeah, help guide this horse to this carriage to this horse with a carriage to the city. I'm like, all right, you know what, yeah, and then you get sidetracked to another, and then there it goes in the background trotting away, and you're like,
Yep.
Son of a gun. So, like, I definitely want to get back into that one, too. Is that I think I need a few hours of, like, another 5-hour day of playing that game. That's another one that I could just, like, alright, maybe stream it because, if I get lost or whatever, people could help me or whatever.
Yeah.
Which I don't
My
mind.
first introduction. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Sometimes you don't want people backseat gaming, but there are definitely some instances where it's required.
Yeah.
Like I was watching somebody the other day, and he was playing a game that he'd never played before, and I'd played the game years ago, and he asked a couple questions, and I knew him, and there was a point where I went, "Do you mind if I say something?" And he said, "Yeah, no, absolutely, go ahead." And I gave him kind of a hint to where he needs to go next with it. And, I didn't just straight up tell him. I asked him in the first place, but I was able to sort of guide him in that way. I asked permission, like I said. But, yeah, my first introduction, kind of like you were talking about with the carriage just walking away, my first introduction to Kingdom Come, it was some YouTube video. I can't remember if it auto-played while I was doing something else or I checked it out. And they were talking kind of about the level of realism, and the example that they used is there's some like castle or some city or something that you're supposed to, like, somebody that you're working for, they want to destroy that castle. It's like part of a battle they need to do. And there's so many different ways that you can approach it. You can actually go into that castle or whatever it is, join the group that's in there, and kind of infiltrate it from the inside, but you've got to do everything that group does. You've got to, I don't remember what it is. I can't remember if it's like a group of monks or if it's a group of soldiers or something, but you've kind of got to do, I haven't played this mission because I haven't gotten that far in the game, but you can either go in there and you can just kind of kill the main leader or whatever and then let the troops come in, or you can go in and you can join that group, but you've got to kind of do their daily routines and do their daily tasks, or you're going to fail. And that can take hours, like literal hours of gameplay if you want it to, or you can jump into it and, like I said, you can just not do anything and then fight a big, massive battle. And, that sort of lends to, like you said, when you go to do something else and talk to someone, the rest of the world doesn't just stop. That carriage, it didn't just sit there and wait for you to be done with whatever you're doing and, you can come back to it later. It kept going.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's, again, all of those games I mentioned, I think I just need, maybe do events on a stream of, hey, I'll stream Kingdom Come for 5 hours or whatever on this Saturday. Kind of thing, or whatever. Like, that's a good idea. I don't know. There's a lot of games in my backlog right now, and this is also why I shouldn't buy games right now. And
don't say that out loud. It makes me sad.
I know.
Because I just think of everything that I want to buy.
Yeah, no. But if I buy one, then I'll be, like, sucked into that one, and I won't be playing the games I've been mentioning.
Why do you tell these truths? Why must you speak of these horrors?
Another game that... Sorry, we'll move on to the questions, I swear. Another game, one more game. Undertale, I just got from Alamo Cinema, who you probably... Yes. But I'm nervous about it. I know it's, like, one of the best indie games that was released in a while, probably since Minecraft. Let's be real, like... Undertale is, really popular when it came out. I'm just nervous about it. I don't know. I'll try to maybe play it one time and see if I like it, and then maybe I'll play it. But I don't know.
Funny story about that. I just picked that up as well over the holiday because they had a sale on it.
Yeah.
The only reason that I have not played it is because, for whatever reason, and if there's somebody that's listening to this podcast can help me figure it out, I can't get my Switch to stream correctly. I get super low FPS, and that's one of those games that I really want to play it, but I really want to stream it as well.
Hmm.
But I just can't get it to work with my stream, so I haven't even played it yet, and I really want to play it. Same with Cuphead. That one I've been playing a little bit more though, but I picked both of them up, and I started playing it, and I really enjoyed it. But I want to stream it to play it more, but I can't do it because my setup for whatever reason is being frustrating and difficult.
Yeah. That's another game that I think I played it last month, Cuphead, and I was like, man, it doesn't look that hard. And they're like, all right, you play it then. I was like, oh right, it is actually this hard.
Yeah, but it's
like it looks so simple.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's a side scroller. It's a platform. I've played Mario for years. You know, we had a Super Nintendo growing up. I played a ton of Mario. Over at my grandparents' house, we had a Nintendo. You know, we had a regular NES. Had Super Mario Brothers on it. Played that. You know, for I couldn't even tell you how many hours I've played Mario. Oh, I can take on Cuphead. And then, you know, I did, like I said, I started playing that one a little bit and you go, okay, all right, this is a little more difficult. You know, and I've played Mega Man too. It's one of, you know, a really great series. It's definitely high up on my list. I actually have something possibly planned for Mega Man, but
speedrunning.
Huh?
Nothing.
What did you say?
I said speedrunning.
Did you say speedrunning?
Yeah, I did.
You know, it's funny that you say that.
Because
that's not my goal, but
because of AGDQ just happened this week.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean that's true. But it's funny that you say that because I remember as a kid, Mega Man X. You know, I played it a lot. We had a Super Nintendo. Played a lot of that. Donkey Kong Country. You know, a bunch of other games on the Super Nintendo. Great games. Really great games. But I would try to see how fast I could beat Mega Man X. And, you know, I'm nowhere near what the speed runners now. I don't even know what the world record for the first Mega Man X is. It's probably like 3 minutes or something. I know it's not that low. But I hear you probably looking it up. I was about to look up but I was excited when I could beat that game
minutes.
31 minutes?
Yeah.
Man, I was excited when I first was able to beat that game in under an hour. Which, you know, I mean, obviously by somebody beating it in, you know, almost half that time, it's, you know, obviously nowhere near. But as a kid, you know, it was fun. It was a fun challenge. And I completely understand why, you know, people like to speed run. But yeah, you know, going back to Cuphead, you know, I've played Mega Man. How is it any different than Cuphead? It's just a side-scrolling platform that's a shooter as well. And then, like you said, you get into it and you go, oh man, this is tough, this is difficult, but it's a rewarding difficult. You know, when you complete a level, which I haven't completed that many, by no means get ahead of yourself. I've completed only a handful, but when you get to that, you have a real sense of accomplishment.
Yeah.
You know, and there's not too... I don't want to say I'm never... I don't feel accomplished when I beat games, but there's some games where, you know, you just kind of mill along and you get through them and you beat it and you go, oh, that was a really fun experience. But almost every level that I've played in Cuphead, when I've beaten it, you kind of take a breath of relief and you go, wow, I was able to do that. You know, you really kind of get that sort of pride that goes along with it, because it is on the more difficult side. But if you sit down and you focus, you know, you can beat it, and then you know that, hey, I was able to kind of pick apart this game and get through that difficult section, and I was able to beat it. I did that.
Yeah, same thing why Resident Evil 4 is number 2, is that I just mentioned this too, that I, if any game to speedrun, I would think it would be that one. Because
okay.
I don't know why. But also, like, I played it, you know, right when I got it, pretty much right around the release time. It was basically, I played it for a while, and then I just got to a point, I don't know his name, so I have to look it up. Have you played Resident Evil 4?
I borrowed a GameCube from one of my friends, actually, solely to play Metal Gear Solid Twin Snakes, and he also had Resident Evil 4 on it, and I played it for maybe an hour or two. It wasn't really my jam at the time. I never really got into the Resident Evil games too much. I think the only one that I've beaten, I want to say it was 5. Do you remember which one was set like in Africa?
Oh man.
Whichever one that was, that I think was the only one that I played start to finish and actually beat. I don't dislike them. It's just never really been, a strong suit. I do have a friend had bought the Resident Evil 2 remake or remaster or whatever it was, and I do want to play that one again. Oh, maybe I'll finally get into that one. I'll stream that one sometime.
Yeah, that's another one I want to pick up too. That I just...
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I should play all the Resident Evils, but I feel like...
Hey, there's another 24-hour stream for you. Bam. All right, people, let's start get to donate. Scouter715. Let's hit all of those incentives.
I heard some of them were terrible, so I don't know if I want to play. But anyways,
oh,
go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, in all honesty, that one that I did beat, when it gets to the end, it kind of dropped off, and I wasn't very happy with sort of the last probably quarter of that game. But yeah, I can't speak for the other ones, because I remember we had the original Resident Evil 2 on PlayStation, and I played some of it, but I didn't really get too much into it. So yeah, I can't speak for the other ones, but that would still be a good incentive to play, all of those, the good and the bad. See how far you can get in 24 hours.
Oh yeah, man. That also means I gotta buy all of them. Might be pretty expensive.
That's fair.
One of them is also being re-released too. I forgot what.
Yep, number 3. They just announced recently. I can't remember if it was at the Game Awards or what, but yeah, they announced that they were remaking 3, which I feel like I remember hearing sort of mixed things on it. Some people really liked it, and some people didn't like it. But you're gonna have that with just about any game.
That's probably why they're remastering it, so they'll be like, you know what, making it better.
Yeah, true.
But what I was saying for Resident Evil 4 is, like, I got to Jack Krauser, where, like, he, like, deforms into, like, this wing kind of thing on his arm. Like, I got to that point, and I just couldn't beat him. It says mutated with arm blade, as I'm, like, reading the fandom thing of Jack Krauser. But anyways, like, when that happens, it took me for, like, I couldn't beat it. And then I was talking to my friend, I was like, yeah, Resident Evil 4 was great, but I didn't,
until
like, I tried to beat Krauser, and I couldn't beat him, and he's like, I beat the game. I was like, no, you're lying to me, because he's impossible to beat. He's like, no, you just upgrade your SMG, and then you just knife him, because, like, he, like, kneels to the ground when he's, like, injured, and then you knife him. I'm like, get out of town. That sounds so silly. Like, why am I knifing a guy? But I was like, you know what? I'll try it, because I want to get this game done. And guess what? I did it. I upgraded my SMG and did what he said of knifing him, and I beat him. I was like, oh my god, I need to finish this game. And like I mentioned on stream today too, is probably one of the first games I ever finished beating. So like,
wow. Nice.
that satisfaction of, like, it at least took me probably 5 years to complete that game. Like, and just really well done when I did. Just really great game. So, yeah, it's just one of those games that I just love the horror in it. And then, yeah, I think I would love to go back to play the other Resident Evils. Maybe I could, look around of research of which ones I should avoid.
I'm sure you can find plenty of that information online.
Yeah, but I don't know. anyways, we're getting into an hour now. I apologize. So let's skip one of these questions. So what game are you looking forward to this year? It's 2020. What game are you looking forward to?
I think this will be a pretty obvious answer, probably to you and probably to a lot of people.
I don't know.
It's definitely Solitaire 2. Absolutely.
I know,
down.
right? Like
Solitaire 2.
That game looks fantastic.
I can't believe they took everything that worked in the first one and they turned it into Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. Anybody who's talked to me for more than probably 5 minutes will very quickly learn that one of my favorite game series is Final Fantasy. I really like the vast worlds they have. I like RPGs a lot. I like JRPGs a whole lot. And Final Fantasy VII is such a mixed bag. The more I see about it, the more they draw me in, but also they make me more skeptical. Because this isn't just taking the Final Fantasy VII that any, child of the 90s played and loved and fell in love with, and maybe, for me, it's the first RPG, like JRPG game that I ever remember playing. And I want to say, other than like Mega Man X or Donkey Kong Country or, even Mortal Kombat or something, it's the first, I want to say, for lack of a better term, feature-length game, if that makes sense, that I beat. And by feature-length game, I mean, Mega Man X is a good game. It's a solid game. It's almost perfect in every way for the type of game that it is. But it is, in kind of grander terms, it's a relatively short game. And it's very fun. There's a whole, I've spent so many hours in playing that game, and I loved it to death, and I still love it. But you're not getting, 40 plus different hours in that game. You can put 40 hours into that game trying to get better, trying to get, faster at beating these levels, or maybe, when one of the best things about playing a new Mega Man X game is finding out the boss order. Because each boss is weak to some weapon of a different boss. And for anybody who hasn't played Mega Man X, first of all, you should go play it. But yeah, basically, when you beat a boss, you get their power. But you can only do so much with that. Whereas Final Fantasy, that world is so massive, and you can do so much in it that you can be enthralled for hours. They are almost, in a sense, flipping that on its head. They're kind of changing up the battle system. We haven't really seen too much on the summoning system, but with the pre-order bonuses that they've talked about, it sounds like it could be slightly different. But so, yeah, like I said, I'm kind of skeptical, and they've talked about it. This release isn't going to be the only game, and it's not going to be all of Final Fantasy VII. They're doing it in multiple parts. So that's another thing that's kind of making me a little more leery on it. But overall, yeah, definitely for me, for that, just even the nostalgia of it and the memories I have of playing that game, which, I just beat that one again on stream middle of last year, towards the end of last year. I don't remember exactly when I did it, but I played it start to finish for the first time in years. I'd picked it up every once in a while and played it some, but I never fully beat it. And to go through it again and kind of experience it again, that was near the beginning of the year. Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. As is the theme of today's episode. But yeah, that's definitely my number one for this year. And there's some other games that I'm excited about. 2020 should be a really good year for games. But to talk about number one on my list, and I'm excited because that one comes out, I think March 5th, I believe, is the release date.
It's on my birthday. So it should be even really, it should be the greatest of it. Is
a great introduction for you. A great
and
way
I'm
to
turning
get yourself
30,
immersed.
so no.
See,
God, I'm getting
even
old.
better, even better for you to pick that game up.
No.
But yeah, it's
I
definitely
haven't played any of the Final Fantasies, so
Oh man, see that hurts my soul.
I shouldn't be talking to you now. We're not friends now.
No, I'll still keep you there.
All right.
But no, yeah, for 2020, that's definitely top of my list. I'm really excited. I'm really upset that the biggest collector's edition version of that cost an insane amount of money. And even as much as I love that game, I can't bring myself to paying that amount.
Mm-hmm.
As much as I want it, I want to say it's over $300 or something.
Mm-hmm.
But like you get a sculpt, you get a figure with it and stuff like that. But anyway, I digress. Yeah, that's definitely my 2020 most excited. And like I said, I'm glad I don't have to wait till near the end of the year, which I have another huge excitement about that. But that's not game. Well, that's not a game. That is a console. But that's all. That's a whole different story. But yeah, Final Fantasy VII Remake, definitely number one for 2020. And you know, we can just wrap it up there. We know that your biggest excitement is Final Fantasy VII Remake, so let's wrap this podcast up now.
All right, thanks for everyone for watching. Yeah.
But no, that's mine. How about you, Scouter? What is your most anticipated?
I don't know. It's the same thing. I think it's Solitaire too.
It's so enticing. I don't know how they did such a great marketing scheme for it.
You could probably take a shot in the dark, and you could probably guess of which one.
Hang on, sorry to cut you off, but are we both that predictable?
Basically, I think it's probably because like one of our top favorite game series is being released the same year, so that doesn't help.
And what would that game be, Scouter?
The Stanley Parable Ultimate Edition.
But wait, you said that game's already come out. You love that game. What do you mean Stanley Parable's coming out?
The Ultra Edition. So, oh man, I never thought in my entire lifetime I scream at a game release trailer until Stanley Parable Ultimate Edition said, "Hold my beer," and basically,
we got you.
I was literally like, ah! I was like, man, I'm so excited. And then, it was actually supposed to be released 2019, and then
I did not know that.
Yeah, they made a video of saying, like, oh, it's going to be released in 2020, and I was like, but it's kind of funny, like, if you guys saw the trailer, and I recommend because it's just brilliant. It was like, oh, this is a story of a man named Stanley, and that's it. And we, put it away in the vaults, and we released it on consoles. Wait, we didn't? And they, kind of was like, oh, hold on, and then, thank you for also nominating us for this, for being the best narrative, and is saying like, and it had clips of. And this year, for the best narrative, is The Last of Us, The Last of Us, The Last of Us, Papers, Please, The Last of Us. And they're like, oh wait, Last of Us is coming out in 2019, and then Last of Us is, as you heard, also got delayed till 2020. Mm-hmm. So, and then the Stanley Parable now being released in 2020, so it's kind of like funny, like they're still going to be released during The Last of Us new game as well. So, I honestly, like I said, it's my number 3 favorite game. It's a game that's not meant to be a game, but it just entices you to be like, oh, you think you're a gamer? Well, like, screw you. You know what? I'm gonna mess with you like so hard. Like you can't even cheat in that game without like getting away with it. That's just how integrated the Stanley Parable is. It's just. And I buy my friends that I don't know how much I gave the Stanley Parable to all my friends. Like literally, like, oh, like for you, you're like, I was like, do you have the Stanley Parable? You're like, no. I was like, now you do. And
I am a victim of Scouter's generosity.
Yeah, literally,
and I'm better for it.
Because you need to be a gamer. Like you can't call yourself a gamer if you don't have this.
Whoa.
The Stanley Parable.
Whoa there,
Hey,
whoa there.
you made all these insults the beginning of this podcast, so it's only fair. No,
Fair
like
enough.
honestly, like there's even a demo of the Stanley Parable. So like remember when games had demos?
What's
And
a
that's
demo?
right.
Like, you mean
So
that class that I play in Battlefield every once in a while? The
yeah,
demolition class? Is that what you're talking about? You can
yeah,
blow stuff up?
yeah. Man, it's just I'm so excited, and you know, I'm just looking forward to it. Like the Ultimate Edition is saying new rooms and stuff, and I'm like, I'm ready. And then yeah, it'll be released 2020. So I don't know, probably early spring they said, which I don't know when that is, but I'm just if they're you know what if the developers aren't ready for that game yet, I'm fine with it. But I'll wait and then. So that's pretty much the only one I'm just roaring to go because I bought pretty much all the other ones from them. If you haven't also played, what's the other one? It's a short one, but you think I know?
Call yourself a gamer.
Yeah, call myself a fan of. But yeah, I'm just having trouble today and trying to think of stuff. But anyways, just
well, while you're trying to figure that out,
yeah.
how would you feel, and how very Stanley Parable would it be if they released, Stanley Parable Ultimate Edition, basically kind of it sounds like is essentially Stanley Parable 2, and the entire game was the exact same as the first one.
Oh my, I'd be pissed. I'll just like.
But would you not still play that entirety? Because you'd be looking for the new stuff.
Yeah.
You would scour.
I bet you they're gonna do that. I bet you. Like
you would scour every inch of that world, looking for the new room, the new computer, the new this, the new that, and they would draw you in so well, and then just pull the rug out from under you. Yeah, I highly doubt they'll actually do that.
No.
But I'm sure a lot of it will be the same because that game is so tongue-in-cheek, so fourth wall breaking, that there's going to be some of that, I guarantee. Or you'll go to do something that you did in the first one, and they'll be like, oh, you thought this was going to happen?
Nope.
Well, nope, just kidding. Even though the rest of this has been the same up to this point, we're going to throw a curveball at you, and it's not going to be what you expect.
So I think the Ultimate Edition comes with the original game and, the new features. The Stanley Parable was actually a Half-Life 2 mod.
And
then
I didn't know that.
So yeah, look it up. I mentioned this too, that I never played Half-Life 2, and the only reason I would play Half-Life 2 is to play the original Stanley Parable. But the game that I was thinking of that's why I couldn't think of it, is Dr. Langnost of The Tiger, the Terrorby, Curse Emerald, and Wormworld Heist. That's a long game.
Holy cow.
But
I didn't even know you could name a game that long.
Yeah, that Dr. So that's kind of the sequel of Stanley Parable, and there's another one that I can't think of too, but that's another one of Crows, who's really, you could tell like he's kind of crazy in a way, but I love it. So William is his name, but William Pugh is the name, but there's another one that just The Beginner's Guide. That's another one. That's a short game. The Beginner's Guide is actually kind of more of a sequel to the Stanley Parable. So that's another one if you haven't played it, but it's not as well integrated. The Beginner's Guide, but
gotcha.
It's definitely a mind kind of blowing game too. It's not like it's a straight path kind of game, walking simulator, but this at least has like a more story to it. And it only lasts an hour and a half, and that's it. Like there's no other.
Gotcha.
That's why, that's why it's a little bit. Oh, there's a soundtrack. I didn't pick that up. Sorry.
And we've lost Scouter. Getting lost in the music.
Sorry. I need to tab out of that because otherwise I'm gonna throw money at it. But no, and that's another thing. Stanley Parable is just great soundtrack. It's the Blake Robinson. If you don't know who he is, check him out too because all of his music is fantastic. And yeah, I just can't wait for that one. And it's pretty much the only one I'm looking forward to. And maybe Cyberpunk, but I'm gonna probably wait till that's released. But I don't know if I'll be interested in that.
Yeah,
game.
I'm intrigued by it, but I haven't been fully drawn in yet. Like, it seems very Deus Ex if you've played any of them, which I enjoyed, but I'm not as much on, kind of the hype train, so to speak, that's followed Cyberpunk. Like, I'm excited to see it, and I probably will get it. I probably will play it. It does look fun. But yeah, it's not like some of the other really big releases that I've been sort of chomping at the bit, getting ready to play.
Yeah, I don't think it was hyped until it was like probably like Fallout 4 hype, and then Keanu Reeves on top, and then now everyone's like, yes, I'm gonna buy that, let's go.
Yeah,
like, and I'm like, all right, it's getting out of hand. Like
well,
really.
It's also fallen into that trap where I forget when Cyberpunk was first announced, but it's one of those games that you heard about so long ago, literally years, and then it just went into this sort of
abyss of
development abyss, and everyone was like, "Hey, remember that one game?"
What was that?
And then, and then when they finally brought it back, everyone went, "Oh yeah, that game."
And Keanu Reeves.
And then Keanu Reeves came out, and like you said, it just kind of blew up. Almost, I don't want to say out of nowhere, because it did have a lot of eyes on it, but it definitely gained a lot more steam after that. But yeah, I forget when it was. It was years ago.
I don't even know how long ago. It seems like forever.
Yeah. It just took so long to get there, and then everybody sort of gave up on it in a sense. But yeah, now it's back in full force, and everybody's really excited. Hopefully for the companies and everything, and everybody involved, it's as good as they expect it.
Wait a second. Is there Overwatch 2 coming out? Oh my god. Why?
Yes, they did announce that. I think they announced that at the Game Awards.
Flight Simulator.
That might have been it.
Sorry.
Oh no, you're good. Yeah. That's one of those games I had fun. I actually won that through a contest. Had fun with it, but I just.
Sorry, what are we talking
just
about?
Sort of. Huh?
Which one are we talking about? Are we talking about Flight Simulator
or
the other one?
Oh no. Overwatch.
Overwatch. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's stupid.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, but
All right, sounds good. Well, I think it's a good time, if any. We've been way over past what we were supposed to.
What do you do?
This happens. But hopefully next time will be a little bit shorter, but no promises. Me and Smokinace getting sidetracked. But I hope you enjoyed this. If you want to hear more, let us know. If you like something like this, let us know. If you hate,
give us suggestions of comments or of questions, games to talk about, or even just general gaming news.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping this will become, kind of gaming news or things that we played and stuff like that. Of Like, hey, this came out this month. Are you playing it? No. Okay, why? Like Stanley Parable. Why didn't you buy that yet? You know.
I'm gonna be berated.
Yeah. I'm literally buying that day of, recording it. Don't care. I'm just gonna play so long of it. I just can't wait. Anyways, yeah, thanks. Let us know, and hope this is a new change in the podcast. I think it might be a good idea and different aspect of games of what we played and stuff like that. So
I like playing games, and I like talking about games that I've played. So I'm here to stay. Yeah, exactly. Win-win. I'm here to have fun.
Yeah. So all right. Well, thanks, and see you next time.
Thanks everybody. Take it easy.
Love you.